The transport shuttle doors opened with a soft hiss. Doctor stepped onto the docking platform of Medical Station Zenith 7, carrying a single bag over his shoulder. The station stretched out before him, all white walls and blue lights, cleaner than any hospital he had seen on Earth. 3 figures waited for him at the entrance. They did not look human. The tallest was covered in soft gray fur, with large dark eyes and a gentle face. She stood on 4 legs like a deer, but her upper body was upright and her hands looked almost human. This was his new boss. Next to her was a being that seemed to be made of blue crystal, light dancing through its translucent body. The third looked like someone had mixed a person with an octopus, with wet blue skin and tentacles where hair should be. Doctor said, her voice soft and musical. "Welcome to Zenith 7. I am Chief Medical Officer. This is Dr. Shimmer of the and Dr. Pools of the." Bowed slightly, a habit from home. "Thank you, please just call me." His ears twitched. "We are pleased to have you here, though I must admit this is our first time working with a human doctor." "I'll do my best not to disappoint," said with a smile. Dr. Pools made a gurgling sound. "Is it true that humans come from a class 12? Had heard this question before. Earth's classification as one of the most dangerous planets in the galaxy had become common knowledge since humans joined the Galactic Alliance 5 years ago. To the aliens, Earth was a nightmare planet with crushing gravity, deadly bacteria everywhere, and predators that hunted for sport. "It's true," he said, "but we just call it home." Dr. Shimmer's crystal body pulsed with orange light. "Fascinating and frightening." Cleared her throat, a surprisingly human sound. "Let us begin with your medical examination, standard procedure for all new staff." They led him through the gleaming corridors. Everything was smooth and rounded, with no sharp edges anywhere. The lighting was soft. Even the air smelled clean and pleasant like flowers. It was the gentlest place had ever seen. The medical examination room looked more like a spa than a clinic. Soft music played in the background. The examination table was padded with something that felt like clouds. "Please sit," said, pulling out a scanning device that looked like a small mirror. "This will not hurt at all." Sat, the device hummed as it passed over his body. His eyes grew wider and wider as she read the results. "This cannot be correct. I will need to recalibrate." "What's wrong?" asked. Dr. Shimmer moved closer to look at the scanner. The orange light inside him turned bright red. "By the stars." "Your blood pressure," said slowly. "It would kill any of us instantly. Your bone density is 3 times what we consider survivable, and your immune system," she paused. "Your immune system is attacking and destroying microorganisms constantly, thousands per second. How are you not in pain?" Shrugged. "That's just normal for humans. We evolved in a tough environment. Our bodies had to be tougher." "But you seem so calm," Dr. Pools gurgled. "If I had your blood pressure, I would be screaming." "I feel fine," assured them. "Really." Save the scan data with shaking hands. "The human baseline is going to require significant study. We must ensure our treatments do not accidentally harm you." Before anyone could say more, an alarm blared through the station. It was a soft, pleasant chime, but it repeated urgently. "Medical emergency in the engineering bay," a calm voice announced over the speakers. Immediately stood. "Come, you will observe how we handle emergencies here." They ran, or in case, galloped, through the corridors. Noticed they were moving at what felt like a gentle jog to him. The aliens were already breathing hard. The engineering bay had a crowd gathered around a workstation. An engineer was on the floor, and one of his crystalline arms had a large crack running through it. Clear fluid leaked from the break. The engineer was making high-pitched sounds of distress. "Everyone back," commanded. She knelt beside the injured. "Fetch the sedation kit and the bonding solution. We will need to run full scans before we determine the treatment approach." Dr. Shimmer hurried away. Dr. Pools began gently scanning the injured arm with a handheld device. "How long will treatment take?" asked. "We must sedate him first," explained. "Then we will scan to determine if any internal structures are damaged. Then we must prepare the bonding solution to the correct temperature and composition. Then we apply it carefully and wait for it to cure. Perhaps 4 to 6 hours. We must be very careful." Looked at the injured engineer. He looked at the broken arm. He had seen similar injuries before, compound fractures in human terms. "May I?" he asked quietly. Blinked. "May you what?" "Fix it." "But we have not even begun the sedation process." Was already kneeling beside the engineer. "Hello," he said in a calm voice. "My name is, I'm going to help you. This is going to hurt for a moment, but then you'll feel much better. Can you be brave for me?" This body flickered with confused colors. Gently took the broken arm. He examined it closely, his experienced eyes seeing what the scanners would have eventually found. Then, with smooth, practiced movements, he aligned the broken pieces and pressed them firmly together. They made a sharp sound. "Hold this position," told him. "Don't move the arm." "What are you doing?" gasped. "Setting the fracture," said. He looked at Dr. Pools. "Can you apply the bonding solution now, while I hold it in place?" Dr. Pools hesitated, then moved quickly. Dr. Shimmer had returned with supplies and immediately began applying the clear liquid to the crack. It hardened quickly, sealing the break. The entire process took 4 minutes. The injured engineer slowly stood up, moving his arm carefully. The pain was clearly fatting. He looked at with wonder. You just fixed it. No scans, no sedation. You just fixed it." "The break was clean," explained. "It just needed to be set properly before the bonding solution was applied." Was staring at him with an expression that might have been horror or amazement or both. "You caused him pain. You manipulated damaged tissue without any anesthetic." "For about 10 seconds, yes," admitted. "But now he's better. He doesn't have to wait in pain for hours." "This is not how Alliance medicine works," said, her voice tight. "We minimize pain above all else. We take our time. We are careful." "I was careful," said. "And I was fast. Sometimes fast is more careful." The other aliens in the room were murmuring among themselves. Heard words like aggressive and barbaric, but also effective and amazing. Drew herself up to her full height. "Doctor, you will come with me to my office. We need to discuss what is and is not acceptable medical practice on this station." As they walked away, heard the injured engineer say to his, "The human hurt me to help me. I think I understand now why survive." In his office, the chief medical officer paced back and forth on her 4 legs. "Your methods are too aggressive," she said. "Too fast, too willing to cause pain." Sat calmly in the chair across from her desk. "I took an oath," he said quietly, "to do no harm, but watching someone suffer when I can help them quickly, that feels like harm to me." Stopped packing. She looked at him for a long moment. "You are going to be a problem, doctor." "Maybe," agreed, "but I'm going to be a helpful problem." Outside the window, the stars shone cold and distant. Thought about Earth, about the hospitals where he had trained, where pain and healing walked hand in hand, where doctors learned that sometimes mercy meant swift action, not gentle waiting. He had a feeling he was going to teach the galaxy something new, whether they were ready for it or not. 2 weeks passed on Medical Station Zenith 7 and learned the rhythm of Alliance medicine. It was slow, careful, and gentle, very gentle, so gentle that sometimes he wanted to scream. He watched patients wait hours for simple treatments. He saw doctors debate for days before attempting procedures. Everything was done with maximum caution and minimum pain, even when that meant the patient suffered longer overall. On his 3rd week, he met Nurse in the station's cafeteria. She was one of only 3 other humans on Zenith 7, all support staff. Her black hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and she had the tired eyes of someone who had seen too much waiting. "You're the new doctor everyone's talking about," she said, sitting down across from him with her tray. "Probably not for good reasons," said, poking at his food. The station tried to accommodate human dietary needs, but the food still tasted bland. Laughed, "You fixed that engineer in 4 minutes. The aliens are calling you the fast human now. Some are impressed, some are horrified. What about you?" "Me?" Took a bite of something that looked like rice but wasn't. "I've been here 2 years. I've watched Alliance medicine work. It's beautiful, it's kind, and it's frustratingly slow. Sometimes I want to just do something, you know." Knew exactly what she meant. "They're too gentle," continued quietly. "I get why most of them evolved on safe worlds with few predators and lots of food. They never had to be tough, but sometimes," she shook her head, "sometimes patients need Earth medicine." Before could respond, the alarm sounded. Not the gentle chime from before, but a harsh, urgent wail. "Mass casualty event," the speakers announced. "All medical personnel report immediately. Incoming, cargo vessel Bright Trader, collision damage, multiple injuries." They ran to the emergency bay together. The room filled quickly with doctors and nurses of every species, stood at the center, coordinating. "The Bright Trader hit a debris field," she announced. 47 crew members, multiple species. 23 injured, conditions ranging from minor to critical. Prepare beds and sedation. We will triage as they arrive." The first shuttle arrived. The doors opened, and injured aliens stumbled out or were carried on stretchers. Saw with a compound fracture, bone showing through fur. A was being carried by 2 others, blue blood leaking from a gash in his side. 3 had cracks running through their bodies, leaking clear fluid. The Alliance doctors moved into action. They were calm, organized, and thorough. They began scanning each patient, taking detailed readings, preparing sedation. "How long until treatment begins?" asked Dr. Pools, who was scanning with a cracked leg. "For the critical cases, we must complete all scans first, perhaps 30 minutes. We must know exactly what we are dealing with before we act." Looked around the room. One was making gurgling sounds that clearly meant pain. He was the one with the side wound. His breathing was wrong, bubbling, struggling. That one pointed. "He's bleeding internally, into his breathing cavity." Dr. Pools looked at the scanner. "Yes, the scans suggest possible internal damage. We will sedate him and then—" "He'll drown in his own blood while you're preparing sedation," said flatly. "The protocol requires—" Was already moving. He grabbed a medical kit and crossed the room to the injured. The alien's skin was turning from blue to purple, a bad sign. He said, though he doubted the patient could understand. "I'm going to help you, stay calm." Appeared beside him. "What do you need?" "Hold him steady, this is going to be rough." Opened the kit and pulled out tools. The Alliance medical equipment was designed for gentle use, but tools were tools. He found something like a scalpel. His voice cut across the room. "Doctor, what are you doing?" "Emergency surgery, he's drowning." "You cannot perform surgery without sedation, without proper scans, without letting him die." Looked up at her. "I took an oath. I'm not going to watch him drown when I can save him." He turned to "This is going to hurt, I'm sorry, but you're going to live." The patient's large eyes focused on him. One tentacle reached out and gripped his wrist. It felt like permission. Worked. The Alliance sedatives reacted badly with biology. He had read that in the medical database. They couldn't use anesthetic without risking worse complications, so he worked without it. Hold his shoulders, talk to him, keep him calm. Press down, speaking in a low, soothing voice. "You're doing great, stay still. The doctor knows what he's doing, it'll be over soon." Made a precise incision. Blue blood welled up, but he had expected that. His hands moved with practiced efficiency, learned in Earth's emergency rooms where every second counted. He located the internal tear, the source of the bleeding. The thrashed held firm, her human strength more than enough. "Almost there," muttered. He used a bonding tool to seal the tear from the inside, working by touch and instinct. Then he cleared the breathing cavity of accumulated blood. The gasped, the bubbling sound stopped, his breathing became clear. Stitched the external incision closed. The entire procedure had taken maybe 3 minutes. The emergency bay was silent, except for the moans of other patients. The head just operated on slowly sat up. He looked then at his own side where the wound was now closed. He made a sound that the translation devices rendered as, "You cut me while I was awake." "Yes," admitted, "I'm sorry, but you were dying. I felt everything. I know I'm sorry." The touched the closed incision with one tentacle. "But now I am not dying." "No, now you're going to be fine." The made a sound that might have been laughter or crying or both. "The human hurt me to save me. Thank you, doctor." Nodded and stood. His hands were covered in blue blood. He looked around the room at the assembled medical staff. Some looked horrified. Some looked fascinated. Looked like she might faint. "Anyone else going to die while we wait for scans?" he asked quietly. Dr. Shimmer pulsed with red light. "This is barbaric. You operated without anesthesia. You caused immense pain." "And he's alive," said firmly from beside the patient. "In 30 minutes he would have been dead." "But the protocol," Dr. Pools began. "Forget the protocol," said. He was tired of protocols that put procedure over patients. "We have people who are hurt right now. We can help them right now. Why would we make them wait and suffer when we don't have to?" Found her voice. "Because we are civilized, we minimize suffering." "You delay treating it," countered. "You spread it out over hours instead of concentrating it into minutes. The total amount of suffering is the same, maybe more, because they suffer from fear and waiting too." "That is not," started then stopped. Her ears drooped. "This is not how we do things." "Maybe it should be," said a weak voice. Everyone turned. The patient was standing now, steady on his tentacles. His translator device spoke his words. "I am called. I have lived 60 years. I thought I would not see 61. The human doctor caused me pain, yes, terrible pain, but it lasted 3 minutes. Then it was over. Then I was healing." He looked at the other doctors. "Would your way have been kinder, to let me slowly drown over half an hour while you prepared, to let me die in comfort?" No one answered. Turn 2. "I understand now. Why survive? You do not fear to act. You do not fear to cause brief pain to prevent greater suffering. This is a hard lesson, but a good one." Help to a recovery bed. As he did, he noticed the other injured patients watching him, some with fear, some with hope. That night after the last patient was treated, some by alliance methods, some by faster approaches, he sat alone in the observation deck. The stars filled the massive window before him. Found him there. "You started something today." "I just did my job." "You challenged everything they believe about medicine." Sat beside him. "Filed a report. There's going to be a formal review of your methods." "I expected that." "Are you worried?" Thought about the who was alive because he had acted fast. About the engineer who could use his arm because the fracture was set immediately. About all the patients on Earth who had survived because human doctors learned to be quick, decisive, and willing to cause small hurts to prevent big ones. "No," he said finally. "I'm not worried because I saved lives today. That's all that matters. You know, some of them are calling your methods barbaric. Let them, my methods work." Smiled. "I like working with you, doctor. Call me." Outside the window, a ship passed by, its lights blinking in the darkness. Inside the medical bay, patients slept in recovery beds, healing faster than Alliance medicine had thought possible. And somewhere in the administrative offices, was writing a report about the human doctor who had changed everything in just 3 minutes. The galaxy was about to learn what Earth already knew. Sometimes mercy required strength, and sometimes healing required the courage to act. Word traveled fast in the Galactic Alliance. Within days, every medical station within 10 systems had heard about the human doctor who performed surgery without anesthesia. Some called him a miracle worker. Others called him a butcher. Everyone was talking. Kept working. He followed Alliance protocols when he could, but when a patient was in immediate danger he acted, fast, decisively, the way Earth had taught him. His reputation grew. Patients started requesting him specifically, not the healthy ones seeking routine care, but the desperate ones, the ones who had tried everything else, the ones for whom gentle Alliance medicine had no answers. That was how he met Elder Petals. The woman was old, even by her species' long standards. Her fur had faded from gray to nearly white. She moved slowly, supported by a floating platform because her legs could no longer hold her weight. Her granddaughter, a young named, brought her to the medical bay one morning. "Please," said Tu, "everyone else says there is nothing they can do, but I heard you do things others cannot." Ran the scans himself. What he saw made his heart sink. Elder Petals had a failing heart. The muscle was weak, struggling to pump blood through her body. In human terms, she had maybe weeks left, maybe less. "The others are right," said gently. "Alliance medicine does not have a treatment for this. The damage is too extensive." "But Earth medicine does." Voice was desperate. Hesitated. "Maybe, but it would be dangerous. The procedure has never been performed on a before, never been performed on any alien at all." "What procedure?" Elder Petals asked. Her voice was weak but steady. "Open heart surgery. We would have to stop your heart, repair it, and start it again." The silence in the room was heavy. "Stop my heart," Elder Petals repeated. "Only for a short time. We would use a machine to pump your blood while we work." His ears were flat against her head with fear. This is what humans do to each other." "When we have to," said. "When it is the only way to save a life." Elder Petals looked at her granddaughter, then at, "If I do nothing, I die." "Yes. If I do this surgery, I might die." "Yes, but you also might live." The old was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "I have lived a long time. I have seen my children grow and my born. I am not afraid of death. But if there is a chance to see more sunrises, to hold children when they come, I will take that chance, even if it means letting a human cut my heart open." Refused to approve the surgery at first. She called it too risky, too experimental, too barbaric. But Elder Petals went over her head, filing a formal request with the station commander. As a citizen of the Alliance, she had the right to choose her own medical care. The surgery was scheduled for 3 days later. Spent those 3 days preparing. He studied biology until he could recite their circulatory system from memory. He practiced on simulation models. He barely slept. On the second day, a transport arrived from Earth. It carried a single passenger, Dr. Bora. She found in the surgical prep room. Surrounded by alien medical equipment, he was trying to adapt for human techniques. "Heard you were trying to perform open-heart surgery with a medical kit designed for gentle tissue scans," she said by way of greeting. "Thought you might need actual Earth equipment." Looked up. Dr. Bora was shorter than him, with sharp eyes and hands that moved with a surgeon's precision. Her short black hair was streaked with gray at the temples. "You came all the way from Earth." "I was at the colony on 442B, only 3 days' travel. Besides, you are about to make history." She set down 3 large cases. "Brought you presents, real surgical tools, a portable bypass machine, and enough human medical supplies to stock a field hospital. I thought Earth wanted us to blend in, use Alliance methods." Bora snorted. "Earth wants us to save lives. How we do it is up to us. She looked at the scan of Elder Petal's heart on the display. Challenging case. The anatomy is different from human hearts. 4 chambers instead of our 4, but arranged differently. Blood chemistry is not quite compatible with our standard approaches. I know I've been adapting. Good, then let me help you adapt better. We have got 3 days to figure out how to save us life with human medicine. They worked together, planning every step. Taught Bora about biology. Bora taught advanced surgical techniques he had never needed before. Helped them set up the equipment, learning as she went. On the 3rd day, Elder Petals came to the surgical bay. The observation gallery was full. Was there, along with Dr. Shimmer, Dr. Pools, and dozens of other medical staff. Some came to watch history. Some came to watch a disaster. There was also an informal robes, physician, representative of the Conservative Medical Council. He had filed an official protest against the surgery, calling it an affront to civilized medicine. Ignored the crowd, he focused on his patient. "Are you ready?" he asked Elder Petals. "I am ready, I trust you, doctor. I will do everything I can." The old's eyes were calm. "I know, that is why I chose you." The surgery began. Made the first incision, opening the chest cavity with steady hands. Bora worked beside him, managing the bypass machine they had adapted for biology. Assisted, passing instruments and monitoring the patient's vital signs. In the observation gallery, several aliens turned away. The sight of opened flesh was too much for them. "Barbaric," physician muttered, but he kept watching. Exposed the failing heart. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time, a muscle struggling to do a job it could no longer perform. "Beginning bypass," Bora announced. The machine whirred to life, taking over the work of the heart. Worked on the heart muscle itself, repairing damaged tissue, reinforcing weak sections. His hands moved with the precision earned from years of training. Every stitch had to be perfect. Every repair had to hold. 4 hours passed, then 8, then 12. In the gallery, watched in silence. She had expected the surgery to fail within the first hour, but the human doctors worked with a focus she had never seen before. They did not stop, did not rest. They simply continued, hour after hour, doing the impossible. "How are they not exhausted?" Dr. Shimmer whispered. "They are from a," Dr. Pools gurgled softly. "Endurance is survival." At the 14-hour mark, began the final repairs. "Prepare to restart the heart," he told Bora. She adjusted the machine. They had studied cardiac rhythms, had practiced the correct sequence, but this was the moment of truth. "Ready," Bora said. Applied the stimulus. The heart twitched, stopped. He tried again, adjusting the strength. The heart beat once, twice. Then it found its rhythm, pumping blood on its own. "We have sinus rhythm," called out, reading the monitors. "Blood pressure is rising. All readings are stabilizing." Let out a breath he did not know he had been holding. "Let's close up." Another 2 hours to carefully close the incision, to ensure everything was sealed properly. When it was done, when Elder Petals was stable and resting, finally stepped back. His hands were shaking from exhaustion. Bora caught his arm. "Steady, we did it. She still has to wake up, still has to recover." "She will, I can feel it." In the observation gallery, the aliens were silent. Even physician had nothing to say. Came to the surgical bay as they were cleaning up. She looked at the sealed incision, at the monitors showing a strong, steady heartbeat. 16 hours, she said quietly. "You worked for 16 hours without stopping." "The surgery required it," said simply. "A human thing," Bora added. "We evolved to keep going when we had to. Our bodies can push past exhaustion when lives are at stake." "I still believe your methods are too aggressive," said, but her voice lacked conviction. "But I cannot argue with results." Elder Petals woke 3 hours later. Her eyes opened, focused on sitting beside her bed. Grandmother, the young whispered. I feel different, Elder Petals said, stronger. Checked her readings. The heart was working beautifully, better than scans had suggested it could. You are stronger. The surgery was successful. Tears ran through fur. Thank you, thank you. Over the next days, Elder Petals recovered with a speed that amazed the Alliance doctors. Within a week, she was walking on her own. Within 2 weeks, she no longer needed the floating platform. It is the human approach, Bora explained to a group of fascinated medical students. We do not try to slowly coax the body to heal. We fix the problem directly, then let the body's own healing do the rest. Fast intervention, then fast recovery. Word spread even faster than before. Medical Station Zenith 7 received requests from across the sector. Patients who had been told nothing could be done wanted to see the human doctors. Physician requested a meeting with 1 month after Elder Petal's surgery. They met in a quiet conference room. The doctor looked uncomfortable. I came to protest your methods, said. I filed official complaints. I called your work barbaric. I know, said. I was wrong. The words seemed difficult for him. Not about your methods being aggressive, they are, but about them being wrong. I have watched Elder Petals. She is like a young woman again. I have watched your other patients. They heal faster, stronger, better than Alliance medicine could achieve. Alliance medicine is good, said carefully. It is kind and gentle. There is value in that. But there is also value in action, in being willing to cause brief pain to prevent greater suffering, in having the courage to cut when cutting is needed. Looked at his own hands. Would you teach me your methods? Smiled, I would be honored. That night, and Bora stood in the observation deck, watching the stars. We are changing things, Bora said. Is that good? I think so. We are showing them that there are different ways to heal, that gentle is not always best, that sometimes you have to fight for life. A message alert chimed, checked it. It was from Earth Medical Command. More human doctors were being assigned to Alliance medical facilities. They wanted Bora to develop a training program, to teach both humans and aliens the new approach. Emergency interventional medicine, Bora read over his shoulder. They are making it official. A blending of methods, said. Human decisiveness with Alliance compassion. The best of both worlds. Outside, a medical shuttle arrived at the docking bay. Inside were more patients, more lives to save. And now had help, had allies, had proof that Earth's harsh lessons could save lives among the stars. The galaxy was learning, and was just getting started. The distress call came at 300 station time. Woke from a dead sleep to the emergency alarm. This was not the gentle chime of a minor incident or the steady tone of a routine emergency. This was a harsh, pulsing wail that meant catastrophe. He ran to the command center, still pulling on his uniform. The main display showed a massive colony ship, the Harmony's Dream, 3,000 passengers of mixed species traveling from the core worlds to a new settlement. The ship looked wrong. Lights flickered. Sections of hull showed damage. Emergency beacons flashed across its surface. What happened? Asked. Station commander, a crystalline being who normally glowed soft blue, was pulsing red with stress. Cascade failure in their life support systems. A meteor punctured their main reactor. They lost power to environmental controls 6 hours ago. 6 hours, that was a lifetime in a crisis. They tried to fix it themselves. By the time they called for help, it was too late to contain the damage. Gestured at the readouts. They have radiation exposure, oxygen deprivation in multiple sections, temperature failures causing hypothermia, and system-wide organ failures from combined exposure. How many casualties? They are reporting over 300 critical cases, more than 1,000 serious injuries, and they need help now. Their emergency life support will fail completely within 12 hours. Arrived, followed by Dr. Shimmer, Dr. Pools, and a stream of medical staff. Bora and were right behind. "How far out are they?" asked. 4 hours at emergency speed, Commander replied. "They are coming to us because we are the closest facility." "We need to prepare for triage," said, her voice steady despite the crisis. She was a good doctor, new, organized, and calm. "We will assess each patient, prioritize based on survivability and write off the ones we decide cannot be saved," interrupted quietly. Every head turned toward him. "That is how triage works," Dr. Shimmer said, his crystal body flickering. "We save those we can. We make the difficult choices." "What if we could save them all?" asked. 300 critical patients. Impossible. Physician had arrived and stood near the back. Over the past weeks, he had become one of his most dedicated students, but even he looked doubtful. "The station does not have capacity for that many intensive treatments." "Alliance medicine does not have capacity," Bora said, understanding what was thinking. "But Earth medicine might." Turned to Commander. "I need full access to the main medical bay, all surgical suites, every available bed, and I need every staff member who is willing to work nonstop for as long as it takes." "You cannot possibly," Dr. Pools began. "We have 4 hours before they arrive," cut him off. "Bora and I can teach fast. Who here is willing to learn human emergency medicine?" The room was silent. Then stepped forward. "I am." Physician moved next. "As am I." Slowly others came forward. Not all of them. Some believed alliance methods were still superior. But enough. More than half the medical staff stepped up. "Then we have work to do," said. "I need your help coordinating. Commander, clear the medical bay and prepare for mass casualties. Everyone else follow me." The next 4 hours were a crash course in emergency medicine. Taught them triage the Earth way, not who to save and who to let die, but how to save the critical cases first and fast. He taught them to set broken bones immediately instead of waiting for perfect scans. He taught them to stop bleeding with pressure and quick stitches instead of careful analysis first. Bora taught them about human medications that could be adapted for alien biology, adrenaline to restart failing hearts, stimulants to counter hypothermia, chelating agents to help flush radiation damage. "You will hurt patients," told the assembled doctors and nurses. "Some will cry out, some will beg you to stop, but if you stop, they die. You must be strong enough to hurt them so you can heal them." "This goes against everything we believe," one doctor said. "I know," said, "but today we need you to believe in something else. Believe that life is worth fighting for, no matter how hard the fight." When the Harmony's dream docked, the medical bay was ready. They had converted storage rooms into triage areas. They had set up rapid treatment stations. They had stockpiled supplies and prepared equipment. The first shuttle of patients arrived. It was worse than the reports suggested. Children with blue-tinged skin from oxygen deprivation, with cracks from radiation exposure, their bodies leaking fluid, whose breathing cavities were half frozen. Species had never seen before, their bodies failing in ways he had to figure out on the spot. "Begin triage," commanded. The medical staff split into teams. Took the surgical bay with Bora and a team of 5, 3 aliens who had trained with him, and 2 human nurses from the colony's ship itself who had medical experience. The first critical patient was a child, maybe 6 years old in human terms. She had been without oxygen for too long. Her heart was failing, brain activity dropping. In Alliance medicine, she would have been triaged as too much damage, too little time. Looked at her small body and made a decision. Prep for emergency resuscitation. I need adrenaline adapted for biology. But the brain damage, one of the alien doctors protested. We save her first, worry about the damage after, move. They worked, administered the adapted adrenaline directly to her heart, once, Twice. The third time the small organ twitched, then beat. Breathing support now. Get oxygen flowing. The child gasped, her first breath in nearly an hour. She would have brain damage, yes. She might need therapy, might struggle, but she was alive. No time to celebrate. Next patient. With massive radiation damage, his crystalline structure breaking down. Bora was already moving, administering the human chelating agent they had adapted. It would flush the radioactive particles from his system. Painful. She could see the light inside him turn angry red, but effective. Another patient. With hypothermia so severe his body had started shutting down. They wrapped him in heating blankets and pushed warm fluids into his system. He screamed. The warmth returning to frozen tissue was agony, but he lived. Patient after patient after patient. Lost track of time. His hands worked automatically, his mind focused entirely on each case. Diagnose, treat, stabilize, move to the next. No hesitation, no second guessing, just action. Around him, the other teams worked with the same intensity. Physician was performing emergency surgeries with steady hands, no longer hesitating to cause pain if it meant saving life. Dr. Pools was adapting human medications with increasing confidence. Even Dr. Shimmer, who had called human methods barbaric, was now using them to save a patient with organ failure. 12 hours passed, then 24, then 48. Did not sleep, could not sleep. Every time he thought about stopping, another critical patient arrived. He drank coffee, that wonderful human stimulant that would kill most aliens. Bora did the same. They kept each other going with sheer stubborn will. At one point had to amputate a shattered limb. There was no time for anesthesia, no time for gentle preparation. He talked the patient through it, explaining every step, and when it was done, when the limb was removed and the wound sealed, they looked at him and said, "Thank you. You saved me. The pain was temporary. Death would have been permanent." 60 hours into the crisis, found leaning against a wall, eyes closed for just a moment. "Doctor," she said gently, "you need to rest." "How many more?" 3 critical cases left. The rest are stable. 3 out of 300. They had lost some 17 patients who were too far gone even for human medicine, but 283 had survived. "I can do 3 more," said. "You can barely stand." "I can do 3 more." He did. The last patient was a mixed-species child, neither fully one species nor another. The combination biology made treatment complex, worked with Bora, adapting techniques on the fly, finding solutions that worked for this unique physiology. When the child was stable, when the crisis was finally, truly over, walked back to the main medical bay. And collapsed. He woke in a hospital bed, Bora sitting beside him. "How long?" he asked, his voice rough. 18 hours. We sedated you. The human way just knocked you out and let your body recover. The patients. All stable, all recovering. Bora smiled. You did it. You saved 283 lives that Alliance medicine would have given up on. Entered the room. Her fur looked disheveled, her eyes tired. "Doctor, how do you feel?" "Like I got hit by a transport shuttle." "That is accurate. Your dehydration was severe. Your body was running on stimulants and willpower." She paused. "And you saved more lives in 3 days than the station normally saves in 3 months." "We saved them," corrected. "Everyone worked together." "Because you showed us how." Sat down. "I was wrong about your methods. They are aggressive, yes. They cause pain, yes, but they work. They work when nothing else can." "Alliance medicine still has its place," said. "Gentle healing for gentle problems. But when death is coming fast, you need to fight back harder." "I am beginning to understand that." Physician appeared in the doorway. "The Galactic Medical Council wishes to speak with you, Doctor, about what happened here." Sat up, ignoring Bora's protest. "Are they going to shut us down?" "Quite the opposite," said. They want to make your methods official. They want you to train others. They are calling it the doctrine. What is that? Emergency interventional medicine, a formal integration of human medical techniques into alliance practice. The expression was serious. You have changed galactic medicine forever, Doctor. The question is, are you ready for what comes next? Outside the window, the Harmony's Dream was still docked. Inside it, 283 patients were recovering, alive because someone had been willing to fight for them. Looked at Bora, at, and all the others who had learned to be strong enough to cause pain in order to heal. Yes, he said, I am ready. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. Sometimes mercy required strength. Sometimes healing required courage. And sometimes a doctor from it could teach the stars how to fight back against death itself. The Galactic Medical Council convened 3 weeks after the Harmony's Dream incident. They met in a grand chamber on the Alliance capital world, where representatives from hundreds of species gathered to discuss the future of medicine. Stood before them in his medical uniform, feeling very small and very human. The council speaker, an ancient being whose species could not identify, addressed the assembly. We are here to discuss the actions of doctor and the implementation of what has been called medical protocols. The council has reviewed all reports. We have heard testimony from patients, from medical staff, from station commanders. Now we will hear from doctor himself. Stepped forward. He had prepared a speech, but looking at the hundreds of alien faces watching him, he decided to speak from the heart instead. Honored council members, he began. I came to Medical Station Zenith 7 to help people. That is all I have ever wanted to do. I took an oath when I became a doctor. The oath. It is very old from ancient Earth and it says, first, do no harm. He paused, looking around the room. But what does harm mean? Is it harm to cause a moment of pain if it prevents death? Is it harm to make difficult choices if they save lives? On Earth, we learned that sometimes the kindest thing you can do is act quickly and decisively, even if it hurts in the moment. A counselor raised her hand. But you operated without anesthesia. You caused terrible pain. I did, admitted, and I will probably have to do it again, because sometimes the alternative to brief pain is slow death. I gave my patients a choice: suffer for a few minutes and live, or wait in comfort and die. Most chose life. Physician stood from the observers section. May I speak? The council speaker nodded. I opposed Doctor's methods, said. I called them barbaric. I filed formal complaints. But during the Harmony's Dream crisis, I used those same methods to save 17 patients who would have died under standard protocols. Doctor did not just save lives. He taught us how to save them ourselves. That is the mark of a true healer. More testimonies followed. Spoke about his emergency surgery, how 3 minutes of pain gave him years of life. Elder Petals walked to the speaking platform without assistance, her once failing heart now strong, and said, The human doctor gave me back my life. I have held my great because of him. A parent of one of the children from the colony ship wept as she spoke. My daughter was dead. Her heart had stopped, her brain was dying. The Alliance doctors said nothing could be done, but doctor said we try anyway. Now my daughter is learning to walk again, to speak again. She has a future because he refused to give up. The testimonies went on for hours. Finally, the council speaker called for silence. We have heard enough. The council will deliberate. They deliberated for 2 days. When they reconvened, the chamber was even more crowded. News of the decision had spread. Everyone wanted to know, would the galaxy accept human medicine or reject it? The Galactic Medical Council has reached a decision, the speaker announced. We recognize that Doctor acted in good faith and with great skill. We acknowledge that his methods, while aggressive by our standards, are effective. Therefore, we are establishing a new branch of Alliance medicine, emergency interventional medicine. A murmur ran through the crowd. This branch will incorporate human medical techniques into our existing practices. It will be taught to medical professionals who volunteer to learn these more forceful methods. It will be used when conventional approaches are insufficient, and it will be overseen by Dr. and Dr. Bora, who will serve as founding instructors. The speaker looked directly at, "We also wish to formally recognize your contributions with the establishment of the doctrine. This doctrine states, sometimes mercy requires strength, sometimes healing requires pain, always life is worth fighting for." The chamber erupted in discussion. Some applauded, some looked uncertain, but no one could deny that things had changed. After the session, as walked through the corridors, caught up with him. "I suppose you will be too important now to return to Zenith 7, she said. "Are you joking? That's my home now." His ears perked up. "Truly. The council wants me to teach, and I will, but I am a doctor first. Zenith 7 is where I do my best work." "Then I am pleased to have you back," hesitated, then added, "and I am pleased to have been wrong about you." "You were not wrong, you were cautious. There is wisdom in that too." 6 months later, Medical Station Zenith 7 had transformed. The facility had been expanded to include a dedicated emergency interventional medicine wing. Human doctors had arrived from Earth to assist with teaching and patient care. Alien medical students came from across the galaxy to learn the new techniques. Stood in the training center, watching a class in progress. Physician was instructing a group of young doctors on emergency surgery techniques. He moved with confidence now, his hands steady as he demonstrated on a medical simulation. "Remember," told his students, "we cause pain only when necessary. We act quickly only when speed saves lives. We never forget that our goal is to heal, not to harm." In the next room, Bora was teaching a class on adapted human medications. "The key is understanding biology," she explained. "What works for humans might kill what heals might do nothing for You must know your patient, know your drugs, and know when to take the risk." Had been promoted to head nurse of the emergency wing. She ran the department with the same efficiency she had brought to those desperate 72 hours during the crisis. Watched her coordinate 3 different emergency responses simultaneously, calm and professional. Had indeed become a nurse as he had said he would. He worked in the emergency bay, using his experience as a patient to help others through painful but necessary procedures. "I understand what they feel," he told once. "And I can tell them, yes, it hurts, but you will survive." I did. Elder Petals visited the station regularly, bringing her great to see, the human who gave grandmother her life back. The children were fascinated by, asking endless questions about Earth and why humans were so tough. The station had become the premier emergency medical facility in the sector. Ships diverted to Zenith 7 when they had critical patients. The impossible cases came there, and more often than not, the impossible became possible. One evening, was finishing his shift when a message alert chimed on his personal device. It was from Earth Medical Command. "Doctor," the message read, "we are sending 15 more doctors to various Alliance facilities. They will need training in both medical techniques and diplomatic approaches. They will need to learn how to work with alien colleagues who may distrust them at first. In short, they will need what you have learned. Can you help train them?" Looked around the medical bay. At teaching students. At Bora saving a patient with a combination of human and Alliance techniques. At coordinating emergency responses. At comforting a frightened patient before surgery. This was what he had built. Not alone, never alone, but together with everyone who had been brave enough to learn a new way. He typed his response. "Send them to Zenith 7. We will teach them not just medicine but collaboration, not just techniques but wisdom, not just how to save lives but how to bring different worlds together in the service of healing." He sent the message and walked to the observation deck. It had become his favorite place to think, to decompress after difficult shifts. Bora found him there, as she often did. "Long day?" she asked, joining him at the window. "Good day. Saved 4 critical patients, taught 2 classes, and managed not to collapse from exhaustion." "Progress," Bora said with a smile. "Remember when you first arrived, when they thought you were barbaric? Some still do. But most have learned that is what matters." They stood in comfortable silence, watching ships come and go from the docking bays. Each one might carry patience. Each one might carry new challenges. Each one was an opportunity to save lives. "Do you ever regret it?" Bora asked. "Coming out here, fighting so hard to change their minds?" Thought about the who had drowned in his own blood until cut him open to save him. About the engineer whose arm healed in minutes instead of weeks. About Elder Petals holding her great. About the 283 souls from the Harmony's dream who lived because someone refused to give up. "No," he said, "I do not regret it. This is what I am meant to do: heal people, teach others to heal, fight for life even when it is hard, especially when it is hard. Earth would be proud of you. Earth taught me, but the galaxy taught me too, taught me patience, taught me that even strong opposition can become strong alliance, taught me that patience understand pain if you explain why it is necessary." Smiled. "I came here thinking I would teach them about human medicine. Instead, we taught each other." A medical emergency alert sounded, just a minor one, a routine call. Checked his device. A small transport had arrived with a patient suffering from a complex fracture. Nothing critical, but it needed attention. "Want to take it?" Bora asked. "Together." "Always together. That is the new way, is it not? Human and alien working side by side." They headed to the medical bay. As they walked, thought about the oath he had taken so many years ago on Earth. First, do no harm. It was still true. It would always be true. But he had learned to add something to it. Something the galaxy had taught him, even as he taught them. First, do no harm. But second, and this is important, do everything else. Fight for life. Act with courage. Cause brief pain to prevent lasting death. Be strong enough to make difficult choices. Work together across all differences. Never give up on a patient who wants to live. This was the doctrine. This was the new way. In the medical bay, a patient waited, her crystalline leg fractured in 3 places. She looked nervous until she saw. "Are you the human doctor?" she asked. "The one who fixes things fast?" "I am. My name is." "I heard about you. They say you hurt people to heal them." "Only when necessary, and only if you agree. I will explain everything before I do it. You will understand why each step is needed." "The considered this, and I will heal fast." "Very fast." "Then I trust you, do what you must." Smiled, this was it. This was the moment he worked for. When a patient trusted him enough to endure difficulty for the sake of healing. When fear transformed into hope. He looked at Bora, who nodded. Looked at who prepared the equipment. Looked at the patient who was ready to be brave. "Let us begin," he said. And in the medical bay of Station Zenith 7, where humans and aliens worked side by side, where ancient Earth wisdom met galactic compassion, where the oath had learned to speak in new ways, life continued. Patients healed, doctors learned, the impossible became routine. And a human from a taught the galaxy that sometimes the greatest mercy was the courage to act. The stars shone on, and in the darkness between them light persisted, because somewhere a doctor was fighting for it.